Good evening, everyone. We're just about ready to get started. If you would please welcome our candidates. That's Melissa Hagan, Thelma Rowan, Jay Trumbull, and Tho Bishop. Good evening. My name is Melissa Thompson. I'm the current chairman of the Bay County Republican Party. We are excited to host this event for you tonight, along with the Panhandle Federated Republican Women, the Bay County Republican Roundtable. And this is the Bay County Republican Party's Florida House District 6 primary debate. Before we get started tonight, I would like to just let you know that our plan for this debate is with the acknowledgement that no candidate takes office as an expert on all the issues. So what we hope to reveal tonight is not their expertise, but rather their qualifications, their experience, their shared values, how they will arrive at a yes or no vote on your behalf, and lastly, we will discuss a few issues that we know will come before them after they're elected. So, with that said, I would like to ask any veterans in the audience to please stand and remain standing. Thank you for your service. Please remain standing. Now, if we could have any elected officials in the audience, please join them standing. And thank you. Now, if everyone will rise for the invocation, I'd like to ask Bay County Republican State Committee man to lead us in prayer. Mr. Jonathan Hayes.
Let's pray. Our God and our Father, we just thank you so much for this opportunity to gather tonight with fellow Republicans and conservatives, those concerned citizens about our state and our nation, and host this debate. Father, we pray for all the families and friends and patriots here tonight. Father, we want to especially pray for Tho and for Jay and for Thelma and for Melissa. Father, I pray for my Republican brothers and sisters tonight, Father, that you would give them an extra measure of your grace, that you would be with them as they work to earn our votes and to earn our support. I pray especially, Father, for their families and their friends that are standing alongside them. Father, I'm thankful for any man or woman who has the courage to put their name out to serve in public office. May we be mindful of all of our state representatives, all of our state senators, our county commissioners, our local officials, our members of Congress, and the President. We pray for each man and woman that's been called to serve. We pray that you would give them courage. We pray that you would give them conviction. We pray that you would give them wisdom and discernment. Father, we also want to especially pray for our military men and women, many who are at this very moment separated from their family and their friends, standing guard, protecting the right for us to do that which we do here at this very moment in this hall. We pray for them. We pray that you would keep them safe, that you would keep them encouraged, and that you would bring them home safely once their mission is complete. Father, we just pray for this debate tonight. May everything that we think, do, and say bring honor and glory to you. Father, may we not fear debate. May we embrace debate and discussion, but may that debate and discussion be wrapped up in respect. Father, again, bless our time together tonight. We ask it in your name. Amen.
If you would all please remain standing for the national anthem to be sung by Miss Emma Hunter.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
You may be seated. Before I introduce our guest speaker tonight, I'd like to ask that you please adhere to a few rules that are intended to respect our candidates as well as this process. With the exception of the press and our official photographer, please do not use any flash photography or any recording device that utilizes a light. Please do not display any signs or banners. And lastly, please hold all applause or any remarks until the debate is concluded. Just to let all of the candidates know as a reminder, all the microphones are on the entire debate, so they're all hot. So to introduce our guest speaker tonight, our speaker tonight is someone you all know. He's a Bay County native, a man who, before serving as our representative in Congress, spent 23 years serving this community and surrounding counties in a number of voluntary leadership roles. He knows this county and he knows this district. He's a man who shares our values and truly cares about us. Please welcome Representative Steve Sutherland.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm humbled by your applause, and it's always great to be home. I'm not a speaker tonight. I'm actually here to listen to these four wonderful individuals that are vying for our support. I just wanted to say thank you, though, to all of you that are here. Several years ago, I would have had no idea what they're experiencing right now. I know now what they know. To put your name on the dotted line, to get into the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt said, is an incredible thing. People will question your motives, they will question your words, they will twist your words. But only those who sign on the dotted line and get into the arena, as you have entered, know the heat. And so you have my utmost respect and appreciation. But I want to say to you, those that are here, thank you for being engaged. As I travel around the country, I'm amazed at the people that are disengaged with our republic. And as Franklin did say in 1787, the form of government that we've been given is a republic if we can keep it. So I say thank you to you to give up your evening away from your families to be here, to be engaged. Debates are an important part of our republic. You know, I think probably the most famous debate was clearly the Lincoln-Douglas debate. How we learned about this Illinois lawyer and how he absolutely knew the issues but had charisma in the way that he answered the questions and really took Douglas deep. And amazing experience when you read about those debates. How could we all forget, if you remember, you were old enough, you remember Ronald Reagan. You remember his debate with Vice President Mondale. And he claimed that he would not exploit his opponent's youth and inexperience when questioned about his age. And of course, many of you may remember Lloyd Benson when he was debating Dan Quayle. That was when he claimed, I knew John Kennedy. John Kennedy was my friend, and you are no John Kennedy. We remember that. And why do we remember that? Well, we remember those things because not the information or the policy positions that those phrases conveyed. We remember that because it opened up a little bit of their personality. So tonight, I think it's important. It's not just what you do, it's also how you do it. Do you conduct yourself with respect and honor? I believe we need more statesmen. We need more stateswomen in places of service, both locally, state, and federal. So I applaud each of you. I pray that tonight, Tho, Jay, Thelma, Melissa, that as Jonathan prayed, that you would have clearness and clarity of mind, and that you would be able to convey to those listening tonight your heart and your policy positions on a very, very important position that is being vacated after a great service to our district, and that is Representative Jimmy Petronas in the position that he vacates. So without any further ado, we turn it over to you, and I wish you all the very, very best. God bless you, and thank you for this opportunity.
All right, please welcome our debate moderator, Mr. Don Arias.
Good evening. Just have a few ground rules here that I want to remind everyone of. The debate is about to begin, and we'll have 10 questions, and each candidate will answer the same question. You'll have 90 seconds to answer your questions. All candidates will have that very same question. We've got Bill Fitzgerald here, who's our timekeeper for this evening, and he's going to keep track of you guys. Green is the start, yellow after 60 seconds, and that'll be your 30-second warning, and then red means your time will be up. Candidates may not bring anything on the stage, which includes notes or cell phones. Candidates have been provided 2 pens, a notepad, and a glass of water. And a reminder for the audience to hold your applause until the debate is ended, because you may not like one of them. Who knows? Each candidate will get a closing statement, and that'll be a closing statement of 2 minutes. Yellow light will be after 90 seconds, and that will mean you'll have your 30-second warning. We're going to do our best to stay on time, because I promised Steve I'd get this suit back to the funeral home in the morning. So to get started, I'm going to start with Melissa Hagan, who just happens to be closest to me here.
Okay.
And the first question is, if elected, what will be your #1 initiative?
My #1 initiative would be job growth. And I think that is something that's going across Florida and especially right here in Bay County. And that would be my focus. We need an educated workforce in order to attract new industry to this area. And I think that education and job growth go hand in hand. If we have an educated workforce, it's going to attract new industry to come into Bay County, and that's going to bring along job creation. So that would be my #1 issue that I would be working toward.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan, same question. What would be your #1 initiative?
Thank you, Don. My #1 issue won't surprise anybody. It will concern education, because I have served on the school board here in Bay County for 8 years. That was a couple of years ago. But I still have in my gut the desire for our county, for our children to have the absolute best education that we can possibly give them. I don't feel that when the governor allowed Common Core to become part of the Florida plan, that it was going to best serve our children. Common Core, which they renamed Florida Standards is it's a ruse that the federal government has designed, not by itself, but with people who are making money on this. It's a ruse that we are supposed to be very happy with because we get lots of money to go with it. Now, everybody that's had any experience with school boarding or children or education knows money doesn't solve all the problems, nor should we be bribed into taking something that is not good for our children and not good for the future of America. Certainly not good for the future of the state of Florida, because going along with Melissa's desire for good jobs, if we don't have a better education system than we have today, and I feel that Common Core is not a better plan for us, then we won't be successful in making those jobs grow and keeping our economy strong.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, same question. What will be your number one initiative if elected?
I'd like to take 20 seconds first to just thank Melissa Thompson and her leadership of the Republican Party. Thank you all for being here tonight and for taking time out of your busy schedules to do this. My number one initiative has to be creating an environment, a job-friendly, business-friendly environment for Bay County and for Florida. All too often we have a lot of different areas that extort small businesses. One is way too much regulation. Two are increased taxes and fees. And three is an increase in some frivolous lawsuits. And we have to figure out a way to make this the most business-friendly place in the country. Florida's on the cusp, and I think we're close to doing that. In our small business alone, we have 4 different regulatory agencies that come and inspect our bottled water plant. The frustrating thing is that, these people they do essentially the same thing, and it's just the redundancy after redundancy that puts pressure on small businesses. I'd rather see regulatory agencies come in and facilitate a way to help these people, small businesses, for example, to get to a common goal. Rather than just extorting them on a day-to-day basis. But that's, being able to create an environment that is business-friendly, that one, creates jobs, and two, creates an environment that people want to come move to Bay County and Florida to start a business. Thank you.
Tho Bishop, same question. What would be your number one initiative if elected?
Well, I want to echo Jay's thanks to the local party for putting this on. I also want to mention Matt Jackson with the Republican Roundtable and Judy Moore with the Panhandle Women's Federation, which is my favorite Republican club. My number one priority is, I have a buddy. His name's Kevin Ingalls. I went to school with him, one of my best friends. He serves right now as a military medic. He works over in Pensacola, works in military hospitals. If he wants to take those skills that our tax dollars are paid for, that he uses on our military service members, and come back to Panama City, and work at Bay Medical or Gulf Coast, he has to take another 2 years of college classes before even qualifying for nursing exam. This is outrageous. Now, I was talking with the head of Kaiser University. They have a wonderful nursing program, and they do a lot of great work with veterans. She told me that while she supported the idea that it's going to be a hard sell in Tallahassee, because there's a lot of special interest groups that keep Florida standards on nursing and medical practitioners very, very restrictive. Now, to me, that's unacceptable. When we have people that need medical service, especially in the age of Obamacare, when we've got people with the skills, especially our military members, who are trying to re-enter public life, then special interests in Tallahassee should not be preventing them from serving in our hospitals. So that was my number one priority that I want to take on. Make it easier for them to join the private sector and to come back home. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next question, Thelma Rohan will be first. What are the core principles you'll rely on when making a legislative decision on behalf of your constituents? What are your core principles?
Oh, core principles. I'm sorry. I thought you said 4.
What are the core principles you'll rely on when making a legislative decision on behalf of your constituents?
The core principles that I will make a decision on are those principles that I live my life using every day. I will be honest. I will be thoughtful. I will be above reproach. I will do my homework. I will not let bills ever pass me that have not been thoroughly read, understood, questioned, and investigated as much as I can. We all know that that happens a lot in Washington. It probably happens a lot in Tallahassee, to no one's surprise. I guess the most important thing that I really want to be able to stress is getting along with the other legislators, but keeping the ethics at a level that are totally unquestionable. Nobody should ever be able to ask, are they doing that, are they making that decision because it's going to allow them to make more money or going to influence a particular group of people? Ethics is probably the most important thing. And then I want to keep my faith involved in it. I will ask God to guide my decisions in every single thing that I do in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, what are the core principles you'll rely on when making a legislative decision on behalf of your constituents?
So first, the first thing I want to take to Tallahassee is a new, fresh approach. The ability that I have, I believe, to take a business approach to Tallahassee, just to make sure, as I just mentioned in my previous question, to make sure that businesses aren't extorted. But the number one core principle I want to focus on is it fiscally conservative. We need to make sure that every bill that we pass is fiscally conservative, because the fact of the matter is people in Bay County spend their money a whole lot better than the people in Tallahassee do. And we have to make sure that money stay in Bay County rather than being allocated by the state. The other things, just as Thelma also pointed out, I want to answer to my Lord and Savior, and I want everybody to know that I'm hardworking and I'm honest. And I think if I can allow those principles to be the very core of my spirit and body, that I will make decisions that are not only honoring to Bay County, but honoring to Florida. Thank you.
Thank you. Tho Bishop, what are the core principles you'll rely on when making a legislative decision on behalf of your constituents?
Well, God, in the sense of right and wrong, guide everything I do. But when it comes to politics in particular, my value system, individual liberty. For me, looking at the works of philosophers like Thomas Jefferson, of Ludwig von Mises, free markets, to me, is one of the biggest differences here in the Republican Party right now. There's a lot of legislative proposals that are sold as being fiscally conservative, or being, it's conservative economics, it's capitalism, that too often aren't. Should we subsidize a certain industry to, look at all the jobs it creates? Well, to subsidize any industry, first you must take taxes from another. Politicians shouldn't be allocating resources. Those should go through the free market. We need simple rules that apply to everyone fairly. Now, my background's a little bit interesting because I came into Washington as a staffer during the Tea Party wave with Congressman Sutherland. I saw firsthand a lot of politicians that they championed changing the culture in Washington, but ended up becoming part of the system there. It's the people that can stick to these core principles: individual liberty, free markets, and the Constitution restraining the federal government, that to me make the difference and can change politics as usual.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, what are your core principles that you'll rely on when making a legislative decision on behalf of your constituents?
Well, I have been a Rotarian for over 5 years, and every single time we go into a meeting, we meet every week on Tuesday. And one of the first things that we do after we say the prayer and after we say the pledge is that we recite the four-way test. And those are core principles that we use in the things that we say, the way we do, the way we run our businesses. And I would like to take that four-way test to Tallahassee. Number one, is it the truth? Is it constitutional? Second, is it fair to all concerned? How is it going to affect the people in my district? And I'm going to be looking at that very closely. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's another one. Is it funded? Are we putting out unfunded mandates? How are we going to pay for this? I want to see how it's going to affect our businesses, how it's going to affect the people in my district, and how it's going to affect our family budgets. I'm the one that has to write those checks every month, and I understand the stress that goes along with that. And also, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Is it morally right? And I'm a believer as well, and I will certainly take those core principles to me in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Moving down the table here, Jay Trumbull will have the first question. District 6 is made up of all but the most northern rural areas of Bay County. 94% of Bay County residents live in District 6. Tell us how you have served this community and how that service has taught you about Bay County. In other words, how have you served, what have you learned, and what will you take to Tallahassee?
Thank you for that question, Don. It has been a humbling and rewarding thing to walk a little over 3,000 doors that we've knocked on so far in this campaign. And I can tell you that Bay County is a special place to me. It has been an exciting thing to be able to meet so many people face to face at their door. Just what an exciting thing that is. Some of the biggest things that I hear when we're knocking doors, the very biggest one is just to get government out of our lives. People want to see that and want that to happen. That's the very most important thing to people in Bay County from what I can understand. And it's important to me and it's important to my business. As far as, what I've done in our community, I was able to marry a local girl, Brittany, who's been very helpful in this process, which I appreciate you, Brittany. I've been able to work in a small business here for my entire life. Since I was 14, I've worked in that business. And I believe I know what it takes to create prosperity in Bay County. We've been here a long time. It's been a rewarding thing to work with people and to get to meet people, especially in this process. What a great opportunity it is to meet so many folks. But just the overarching idea I get from knocking doors is that people want government out of their lives.
Thank you. Phil Bishop, same question. Tell us how you've served this community and how that service has taught you about Bay County. In other words, how have you served, what have you learned, and what will you take to Tallahassee?
I love Bay County. I was born here, I was raised here. And I'm actually an Arnold High School graduate. I have friends here in the audience that I went to school with, and it's really cool to be on this journey with them. As far as serving in Bay County, volunteerism is something that's always been near and dear to my heart. I volunteered with the Red Cross, coached Little League football with the Panama City Beach Barracudas. Actually, Miss Rita and Glenn Leary here, back in high school, I'd volunteer every weekend with the Bay County Republican Party, knocking on doors for George W. Bush, and actually doing a little bit of door-to-door walking for Brad Drake for a while. I've worked in small businesses here. Used to do henna tattoos out in Front Beach Road during spring break, which was a very wild experience. I worked on a coffee shop in Back Beach Road. Later went on to actually manage that coffee shop. What Bay County has taught me, it's the people here are incredible. The values that we have here are incredible. The resources that we have here are arguably the best in the entire world. And the reason why I came back from Washington, I gave up a really good career to come back here is because I am so excited about the potential we can have. And I want to work with everyone on the stage and everyone in this room to build a better future in Bay County. Because we need to have an environment where every kid who graduates, be it Arnold, Bay, anywhere in Bay County, believes that they can make a difference and that they can succeed here at home.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, same question. District 6 is made up of all the most northernmost rural areas of Bay County. 94% of Bay County residents live in District 6. Tell us how you've served this community and how that service has taught you about Bay County. In other words, how have you served, what have you learned, and what will you take to Tallahassee?
Okay. Well, I came here in 1998 as a military spouse, and my husband was in training at Tyndall Air Force Base. And we chose to stay here. We had done 2 consecutive overseas tours. And when we got the chance to choose where we would get to come back stateside, I wanted to come back here to Bay County because he had trained in 1991 and we got to come back. That's one of the reasons that I got into this race. I absolutely love Bay County. And I just see such potential here, and I want to be part of the solutions at the state level that help us reach our full potential. I've had great opportunities here in Bay County. I served at Gulf Coast State College. I started off as their Student Support Services Director, helping low-income, first-generation college students navigate the college process. And then I got to move up to be their Chief Development Officer and got to help fundraise for the Advanced Technology Center that I think is going to be a game changer here in our community. That was a wonderful project. I've also been a community leader civic-wise. I serve on the board of directors for several nonprofit organizations such as Junior Achievement. I'm the president of Girls Incorporated right now, and I also serve on the Salvation Army board. And I just want to say that some people don't think that conservatives have a heart, but I think that I do, and I think that I've shown that in my work in the community. I absolutely love Bay County, and if we truly want government out of our lives, we all need to step up and serve these organizations because I think they'll be able to help us move us along. But thank you.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan, same question. District 6 is made up of all but the northernmost rural areas of Bay County. 94% of Bay County residents live in District 6. Tell us how you've served this community and how that service has taught you about Bay County. In other words, how have you served, what have you learned, and what will you take to Tallahassee?
I think the list is almost boring if you have to listen to all the places that I have served, all the groups that I've served. But to hit the highlights, I have obviously the 8 years on the school board. I have served on the Red Cross Board of Directors, the Florida State University Foundation, raising money for Florida State. I am active in our church. My husband and I, Michael and I, read every third Sunday, which is quite a commitment. And I guess my biggest service has been, besides the school system, where I served my children and everyone else's children with as much love and devotion as I possibly could, because, as I said before, that's where I see our future. But my other big service area has been the Republican Party. Soon as we got here to Panama City, having signed up in 1964, which might sound like an old fuddy-duddy, I'm not an old fuddy-duddy. I have more energy than almost anybody else in this room, and I can prove it by all the things that I do every day. But I've served in every capacity that I could in the Republican Party. I have been the precinct leader, started there. I've been the vice chairman. I've been the chairman. And it's quite a job to keep this group going, this Republican group going, because there's so many different personalities. That light got red really fast.
Yes, it did. But thank you. Working our way down the line here, Tho Bishop will get the next question. First up. This is a Republican primary, and only Republicans are eligible to vote for you. Why are you a Republican, and how have you helped other Republican candidates in Bay County or in statewide races?
Well, I'm a Republican because I believe in the history and the foundations of this party. You know, individual liberty, limited government, Constitution, and the constitutional values. I mean, that to me is the essence of the Republican Party. Now, I think for way too long, leaders, especially in Washington, have lost sight of those values. You know, when I see people like Mitt Romney advocating for raising the minimum wage, I cringe. You know, that's not right. I'm excited by the new wave of republicanism, by leaders like Ted Cruz, by leaders like Rand Paul. People that are restoring the conversation, changing the conversation there in Washington. Congressman Sutherland has done, you know, along those lines, you know, re-examining what can be done in politics. You know, we have needed that. And so as far as on the state level, back in my high school days, I've walked door to door for George W. Bush, for the local candidates then, for Brad Drake down in the state office. But I think more importantly than what is happening in the state level, we have to embrace and make a change here, because look at the Republican legislature this year. Okay, it's passed the largest bill, largest budget in the history of the state of Florida. We are granting benefits to illegal aliens, letting them become immigration attorneys. We have a Republican Attorney General that is doing all sorts of crazy things. We need to change the direction of the Republican Party in the state of Florida, and I want to be a part of that solution. We need Ted Cruz in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, same question. Why are you a Republican, and how have you helped other Republican candidates in Bay County or in statewide races?
Well, I had the opportunity to be part of Project Democracy here with Mark Anderson's office with the Supervisor of Elections. And we got to go to all the area high schools during their voter registration drives, and I actually got to talk about the Republican platform and tell them why I was a Republican and why they should be. I let them know that I was in there because it is the party of freedom, but also personal responsibility. That it is a party of a strong defense, that's one of the best things that we can do to be a strong country is to have a strong defense. And also the love of the free enterprise system. My husband and I are small business owners, and I love being able to be an entrepreneur. And it's very hard to do that anywhere else in the world. Here, it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to do that, and the Republican Party really respects that. And also, it respects family values in life, and that was one of the things that attracted to me. I'm the mother of 3 daughters, and I value every single life, and the Republican Party does as well. Like Thelma, I was also able to serve quite a bit with the local Republican Party. I was a precinct leader, and I also served as a state committee woman from 2007 to 2011 and got to work on many campaigns. I actually got to chair the McCain-Palin campaign in 2007 and 2008 and was a delegate to the national convention that year. So that was really an honor. So I have loved basically selling the Republican brand, and I want to continue doing that in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan, same question. Why are you a Republican, and how have you helped other Republican candidates?
Well, I signed on the dotted line to become a Republican back in 1964, and I realized when I was doing that what had influenced me the most to become a conservative, those were the days when Republicans really were Republicans. We didn't have this bantering back and forth about the meaning of individual words or the meaning of individual issues. But I was raised in an orphanage until I was 12, and getting the taste of that life that orphanage gave me was what led me down this path. They gave us a hand up, not a handout. They didn't take care of us forever. They sent us to school. They taught us values. They taught us essentially what the Republican Party used to be like. And so when I went down to sign up, that's what I did, because I started listening. And I can remember sitting listening to Dwight Eisenhower thinking that I died and gone to heaven. Now, everybody doesn't like Dwight Eisenhower, but Reagan does that for everybody today. But who have I helped? I have helped in Bay County an unnumberable number of people just by not calling them on the phone saying, hey, I know you're a Democrat. There are better things in this world. Jerry Gertie and I used to sit once a month, and we would go through the phone book, and we would find people out there that were conservative, and we would help them find their way.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, same question. Why are you a Republican, and how have you helped?
So I became a Republican, I registered Republican from the very beginning, and I believe that's because of how I was brought up. Brought up in a very conservative family, brought up in a family business, and I got to see from a firsthand knowledge of what some of these liberal agendas do to small businesses, and that was the biggest reason I decided to register Republican and become a Republican and run as a Republican, because I know that whether it be socially or fiscally conservative, that we can make a difference. As Tho said earlier, I believe in Bay County, and I believe in the future of Bay County. We are not the same type of people that Broward County has. And I've said this a number of times, what's good for Broward County is not always good for Bay County, and we have to remember to think about that. The biggest reason I became a Republican was to ensure that our conservative values and fiscal conservative values were ensured. We have to make sure that, like I've said before, that businesses have a chance and that we are able to create an environment that is business friendly. And the only way we're going to do that is if we push our conservative values in Tallahassee and across the country.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan will get the next question. Bay County residents will be selecting one of you to be its voice in the Florida House of Representatives. Life and work experience tell us a lot about your qualifications and preparation to represent us. What do you do for a living right now, and what other work experience have you had?
Okay. I think I mentioned previously that I had a full-fledged education career at Gulf Coast State College from 1998 until actually when I got into this race. I was a first-generation college student director. I helped those students navigate the college process, and did the chief development officer as well. Right now, I am a consultant and a small business owner. My husband and I own Emerald Coast Interview Consulting, and we help veterans get jobs. Basically, we take our military pilots and we help them transition that military process to the commercial aviation industry. And since 2002, we've helped thousands of them get jobs successfully. And I'm very proud to be able to help people get their dream job. And it's wonderful to be able to give back and to use my talents and that of my husband as well to be able to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan, same question. What do you do for a living right now, and what other work experience have you had?
I am the office manager at my husband's office. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and we had a little experience when I was serving on the school board, that one of our employees wasn't quite as honest as they should have been. And so when I finished my 8 years on the school board, I went back to the office because it just felt better to know where the money was going. And it's a very demanding job. And the most demanding thing about it is that we have to keep up with all these rules and regulations that come down from Washington in the form of Obamacare, all the forcing. We have just absolutely had to go into electronic health records. If you can imagine an office that's been in practice for 35 years, all of a sudden having to change absolutely everything that it does in a totally different direction, it's been difficult. It's been the job of from hell and back. But what other experiences? I have been lucky enough that I did not have to work while I was raising our 5 children. And I know a lot of you don't think that being a housewife is work, but being the mother of 5 children, that's a lot of work. But I have been a nurse. I am a registered nurse. And before we got married, I was an RN over in Gainesville. I worked at Shands, and I worked at Alachua General. And I even got the pleasure of working at a VA hospital. And I know exactly what they're talking about when they talk about the quality of VA medical care.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, same question. What do you do for a living right now, and what other work experience have you had?
So I've had the pleasure to grow up in and now be a part of a family business that my great-grandfather started in 1947 just up the road on Harrison Avenue, 911 Harrison Avenue. And it is a humbling thing and exciting thing to be a part of a company that's so deeply vested in Bay County. I started in that business when I was very, very young. In fact, before I could drive, when I was graduated, when I was going to school at Bay High, I would walk across the street. It was just so, maybe I was lucky enough that it was close enough where I could walk, but those were great experiences to be able to grow up and work with my grandfather. When I graduated college and moved back home, I started running a bottled water route, and I thought I was hot stuff, and my dad said, "Here's your office." It was the oldest truck in the fleet, no air conditioning, which made days pretty tough, but I enjoyed it. It was something where I could go out and meet people and talk to people on a day-to-day basis. I had a route on the beach every day. Then I had the opportunity to go manage our office in Tallahassee. That was a real experience. I lived here but commuted to Tallahassee every day and enjoyed it. Got to manage a couple of employees, but that was the first time where I really got a taste of what government regulation does to small businesses. And that's, when I moved back home, I started running for this seat because I knew that there needed to be something done in Tallahassee for that.
Thank you. Tho Bishop, same question. What do you do for a living right now, and what other work experience have you had?
I'm an economic and consultant, or a communications consultant. Most of my work I do right now is with Congressman Spencer Backus from Alabama, who's actually the first person to employ me up in Washington. And this is his last year serving Congress, so I've been helping him kind of finish up his papers and kind of help him with some stuff on the side. But I think, I mentioned, I used to do henna tattoos and served coffee, and for a brief period, I actually sold vacuums door to door. But I think my most relevant experience came from when I was working up in Washington with the Financial Services Committee. Today is actually the 4th year anniversary of the Dodd-Frank Act. And for those who have the privilege of not knowing what that is, people talk about Obamacare affecting 1/5 of the economy. Well, Dodd-Frank affects about the other 4/5. Okay, it was a bill that was designed to punish Wall Street, yet the biggest banks have gotten bigger. It was meant to help community banks, and yet they're going out of business because of compliance costs. Something as simple as renting a movie from Redbox used to be $1, now it's $1.25. It's because of everything in this bill. And, when I was going around being introduced to my colleagues the first day, every single one of them were lawyers. And that explains how you get a bill that starts with 2,300 pages, that's now 10,000 pages after extra rules being written, and is only halfway done comes to be. We need lawyers out of politics. We need bills that are clear and simple, and we need to deregulate and let the free market guide the rest of the economy. I think that would be a much better solution. Thank you.
Thank you. And as things have worked out, Thelma Rohan will get the first question. There is a 44-year age difference between the youngest and oldest candidate in this race. I swear it's just the way it worked out. Do you think your age is an advantage? If so, tell us what advantage you feel your age and life experience will bring to the job.
Of course, I don't think it's a disadvantage. I wouldn't be sitting here if I thought it was a disadvantage. My life has taught me things that I can take to Tallahassee that who knows that I might need them. I don't think experience should ever be excluded from decision making. And if you really know Thelma Rowan, you know that she is as energetic a person, as dumb enough to say yes to almost anything that's asked of her, interested in the well-being and quality of life of every single person. I just think that's a very interesting question, and I forgot the second part of it, though. Not because of my age, because I got too involved in it.
What do you feel your age and life experience will bring to the job?
Oh, I think it will. Everything I take over there to Tallahassee will do nothing but make it better. And the drive I might not like so much, but everything else about it, I think my age will be to the advantage of myself and all the decision making that I know I'm going to have to do. And you might find that this is the best solution ever.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, same question. Do you think your age is an advantage? If so, tell us what advantage you feel your age and life experience will bring to this job.
So, yes, I do think my age is a very big advantage. I believe that we need people to go to Tallahassee with the time and the energy and fresh ideas to be able to sort through some of the stuff in Tallahassee, to be able to create relationships over there, to work across both aisles and get things done. I think that's probably my biggest attribute is my age. I mean, I've been saying that from the very beginning. We to be young and to have new ideas and to be able to have the time to do it is a very big thing. I really do feel that being able to create relationships with people and to break down those barriers to get to a common goal is something that we need in Tallahassee. Because I feel like with all politics, maybe all too often partisanship gets in the way. And we need to focus on what's the best thing we can do to ensure that Bay County and Florida are that are served successfully. I tell people often, you've got 6 representatives in the Central Time Zone out of 120. You have to be able to be a strong defender for what your rights are, and I think being able to have the time and energy in Tallahassee is the only way we're going to be able to get that done. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Bishop, same question. What do you feel your age and life experience will bring to the job?
Well, just about everything Jay says, I think applies to me. He's a few months older than I am, so yeah, I think it should apply even more. We're with me, right? but I do know that age can be a great concern for a lot of voters. One of my most passionate supporters is Kathleen Gould, and I know that was a concern that she had early on. But the thing is with me, I think you get the unique advantage of having both. You get the youth, you get the energy, the willingness to take on the world, but at the same time, I have the experience dealing with policy. And I don't think anyone on this table can beat me when it comes to talking about viable policy solutions to make your lives better. Things like instead of just talking about the problems with the regulatory system, let's push for a Florida version of the REINS Act, which is something Congressman Sutherland has supported, which is a federal proposal that would require that any significant rule or regulation passed by an unelected regulatory bureau would have to first go through the legislature before it can become law. Because every single rule that affects the way you do business should have the fingerprints of your elected representative on it. Things like, can we fix the red snapper issue with the federal government trying to come in and take over our fisheries? Well, let's have Florida Fish and Wildlife, a state agency, not enforce that federal rule. The non-commandeering doctrine, its firm established legal precedents. We can have solutions to these policy problems, and I can bring them to the table. That's why I'm running, and that's why I want to represent you in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, same question.
Okay, age?
Yes, ma'am. Something I normally don't ask a lady, but.
Okay, here we go. I learned that age was basically a state of mind from my father. He just turned 87 years old, and he has been laying brick all his life, and he didn't stop until he was 80. So I got to tell you guys, I came from some pretty good stock and some pretty good genes. And age, I don't believe, is a factor. I do think it is a state of mind. And I also like the fact that with that age comes wisdom. And I've had the opportunity to have a wonderful, wonderful life. I've been a military spouse. There's also been some tough times with that. I've sent my husband off the war when I was, we'd only been married for about a year and a half. I was 22 years old. So I learned a lot from that experience about faith and family and taking care of others during tough times. And I think there was some wisdom that came with being a military spouse. I'm the mother of 3 daughters, and one of them is a redhead. And let me tell you what, I learned quite a bit with that first one. She really taught me quite a bit. They are as strong-willed as they say. I did that. I survived it. I have 3 great girls, and I think my husband and I have been able to be good examples to them as far as being good business people, but really just loving them and letting them know that they're loved.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, you get you're first up for this one. Las Vegas-style gambling casinos have their sights set on Florida to expand their businesses. Up to now, the Florida legislature has held off casino lobbying efforts. It's thought by some incoming leadership of the Florida House might not have the same objections to turning Florida into the new Las Vegas, making this an issue for future legislators. What is your position on bringing casino gambling and everything that comes with it to Florida?
Sure, I'm against bringing casinos to Florida, Bay County or Dade County, wherever it is. I believe that Florida is a family-friendly place, and we need to make sure that is championed. Obviously, casinos aren't. You got to be 21 to get into them. Studies have shown that when a casino comes into an area, that after 2 years, that the surrounding businesses tend to go out of business because the patrons are, encouraged to stay inside and not go out and patronize another business outside of that casino. But most importantly, I believe that it's not the type of the type of jobs that we need in Bay County. We need to focus on more manufacturing jobs, or jobs like Iserona downtown here, where the average wage is $70,000. We don't need to focus. I believe we already have some of these jobs that a casino brings to the table with waiters and waitresses. I think we need to be focused on bringing long-term, higher wage jobs to Florida rather than a casino. But So, I mean, I stand pretty strong against casinos. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Bishop, same question.
Well, I'm in favor of the efforts, but more importantly, though, I'm very troubled by what Jay just said there. Because what he's saying is that a legislator has the ability to decide what jobs should be okay in Bay County. I'm sorry, I've got a lot of friends that I grew up with that are servers out in Pineapple Willie's. They don't work during the off season. They're unemployed. They would love to take those casino jobs. Now, I can understand the moral concerns about gambling, and I don't think Tallahassee should be forcing gambling on Bay County. But I am fully in favor of letting the legislature let Bay County make that decision for themselves. Because we already have gambling in the state of Florida. We have the lotto, which, we have a lot of people playing the lotto that probably shouldn't be doing. But that's subsidizing our government. We have casinos in Tampa and in South Florida. If the Panhandle wants to choose themselves that we should have gambling here, then it should not be the role of Tallahassee to decide to make that decision, and it should not be the role of legislators to decide what jobs are okay or not okay for the people here in Bay County. Now, Iserona does a lot of great work, and I love high-tech jobs. We should do everything we can in a free market system to encourage that. Deregulation could play a major role to it. But not everyone can work at Iserona. We need servers, we need waitresses, we need people on the beach, and we need to take advantage of Panama City as a tourist destination. I think this could further enhance that ability.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, your position on casino gambling in Florida.
Well, I am against it. And I grew up in the state of Mississippi. And I can remember going down to the Mississippi Gulf Coast on vacations when it was just mom and pops and lots of restaurants and a boat out to Ship Island. And that's all that was down there. So it is exciting, and there are some new entertainment venues down there, but it has changed the face of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And it's very fun to visit that, but I don't think that that's necessarily what I want to live with here in Bay County. I also took a trip up to Tunica, Mississippi, not too long ago, and they had basically built highways going into these casinos. Aaron and I stayed in a hotel one night, and there were basically 4 people in that hotel. And the rate was like $23 an evening. I mean, they couldn't even pay the maid to clean up the room for that rate. So I think initially, yes, it does bring jobs, but we have a thriving tourist season right now. And I don't think that we have to bring casinos here because they do bring their own set of ill wills with them. We have to think about the social side of things and what that's going to cost our government agencies in aiding those that are taking part in that. And I do think that it does prey on some of our most vulnerable citizens. So with that, I would say that I would be against casino gambling.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan?
I can't say anything else except no. The things I would add, I'm surprised that Tho thinks that it's okay to have gambling and that morals is not the major thing. Everybody knows prostitution grows, human trafficking grows, habitual gambling turns into an addiction, families go broke, they lose their parents because of gambling addiction. They lose every penny. There's no mom and dad around for children to see, to be good examples to. If anybody's ever been to a casino, they keep you so happy with any amount of alcohol that you can possibly drink. And after about 4 or 5 hours, you just don't even know what you're doing. So I'm totally against it. And I wanted to go back to something that Jay said about older people not having any good ideas, any new ideas. The Republican Executive Committee knows how many good ideas I have, and they know how much good money I can raise for them. Only a good idea, right? Only a young person doing that. Viable policy solutions. I went to Florida State University and got a master's degree in policy making in the public sector.
Thank you.
I know how to do that.
Tho Bishop?
Yes.
You're going to lead us off. We're going to talk about medical marijuana now.
Right.
The Florida legislature has passed, and Governor Scott has signed into law, the Compassionate Medical Cannabis Act of 2014. Supporters feel this provides for the medical necessity for those who need it. and preempts broader use and distribution through initiatives like Amendment 2 on the ballot this year. Do you support Amendment 2, or do you think the Compassionate Medical Cannabis Act is sufficient? Why or why not?
I'll be voting for Amendment 2. It's not a perfect piece of legislation, but to me it's much better than Matt Gaetz's medical marijuana bill. I mean, for one, okay, the Matt Gaetz bill, the one that's currently law, it's very limited in the amount of people that can receive it, very limited in the product that can be produced. I'm sorry, but Tallahassee should not be getting in the middle of a decision between a patient and a doctor. And if a doctor says this product will work for you, then we should not be limiting those decisions right there. It's bad policy. Further, if you actually look into the way the bill is written, the only people that are able to produce the product, the Charlotte's Web strain, are large growers that have been in place doing other sort of similar jobs for for a long period of time. It's a bill that's going to benefit a very, very few economically, which troubles me. Further, if you actually look at the way the system is built, you have to be a grower, a processor, distributor, and a retailer. What's funny, because this is the same exact system that they don't want, that they are fighting the craft brewers on. So to me, if the bill that we have in law, advocates this approach to medical marijuana, we should not be using this, we should not be damaging the craft beer industry in Florida by over-regulating it even more than Matt Gaetz's bill. I mean, to answer the question, I support Referendum 2. I'm against the crony capitalism aspects of the other, and we need more freedom and more choices in healthcare decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, same question. Do you support Amendment 2, or do you think the Compassionate Medical Cannabis Act is sufficient?
I do think that the compassionate, the care that was passed is definitely one that's going to help a lot of people. I know of a family that has a child that has those types of seizures that Charlotte's Web will help. And I think that they definitely should be able to get that and to get it legally and not have to cross state lines or worry about breaking laws in order to take care of their children. And I don't want the government to come between the patient and the doctor. I don't think that that is their place. I am for Amendment 2. I want everyone that can benefit from this particular medical grade marijuana to be able to get that help. We also had a gentleman that worked on our farm, and he had esophageal cancer. And he was in such pain, and he was nauseous, and he was just absolutely miserable. And we watched him just shrivel, and he could have been helped by this. So because I have experienced this, I do have to say that I am in favor of Amendment 2 with regulations and for us to have some big fail-safe measures in there to make sure that it's not used and abused.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan, same question. Do you support Amendment 2, or do you think the Compassionate Medical Cannabis Act is sufficient?
I do support Amendment 2 because of many of the reasons that Melissa has said, that those folks that need it, they really do need it. And if it's going to help them have a better quality life as they're dying, we're all going to die, but it certainly is going to be pleasant to have relief from pain, relief from any other symptom that you might have as a dying patient. But I hate to break it to you, though, Tallahassee is already in the middle of the relationship between patients and doctors. Absolutely everything we do is regulated by somebody. The only thing we can do peacefully in our office sometimes is just smile at each other and smile at the patient and hold their hands without being regulated. So I want the regulations, the proof is in the enforcement of any of these laws. And if we have a group of people who will not adequately enforce any rule, any law, whether it be related to marijuana or alcohol or anything else, then we're in trouble. So I want patients to be comfortable. I want human beings to be able to live their lives to the end in as much comfort as they can. And if this is one way they can do it, then God bless them.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, same question. Do you support Amendment 2, or do you think the Compassionate Medical Cannabis Act is sufficient?
The Compassionate Medical is it Medical Marijuana Act or Medical
Cannabis Act.
Cannabis Act, sorry. You know, I was in favor of that. I think that was a good step in the right direction. You know, when you're talking about kids with epilepsy, it's a really sad thing, and to allow some alleviation from seizures with these kids, you know, you want to help. I'm still not sure where we need to be on Amendment 2. You know, it makes me nervous governing by amendments, by constitutional amendments. I'm not sure we need to be doing that. But the fact of the matter is, with the Charlotte's Web, as well as there's another medicine that's made with THC, which is called Meritol, is already in use in Florida. I just feel like when you have a guy like John Morgan, who is a huge plaintiff's attorney in South Florida, pushing this bill or the amendment, and all this outside money from outside the states coming in here, it makes me nervous. I'm not sure we need to sign on just yet. It's as if, you know, the camel getting his head under the nose, his nose under the tent. We're just not sure what it could possibly be, you know, in years to come. And I don't want to be trying to come up with ways to get around this after it's already passed.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan will answer the first question.
Okay.
What are the most critical issues facing Florida's education system?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's the federal reach just coming into our schools. And you see that with the Common Core standards that have been imposed on us. And basically, the federal government dangled money in front of us with the race to the top. And we took it. And there were some strings attached to that in having to bring aboard the Common Core standards. So I think that the top-down approach is definitely not right. The other thing that I think is that we put too much focus on kids going straight to college. Not everyone is cut out to go to college. And I worked at Gulf Coast State College, and I absolutely loved it, and I welcome everyone coming there to further their studies and to reach the careers that they want. But I don't think that everyone is cut out to go to college. And so I think that we need more focus on career and technical education. And I was able to work with the Ford Partnership for Advanced Studies grant here in Bay County that basically started career academies. And it's allowing our students now to earn industry-recognized certifications that lead straight to jobs. So I would expand that CAPE Act, which is what it's called, that helps start career academies, and expand the scope of that so that more children can be exposed to those career academies. I also think that we need to start at an earlier age. We need to continue to fund our early childhood, because it does show that if they get early exposure, that they do better with their third grade reading test, and that our high school graduation rates start to rise. So I would really focus on those three areas with education.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan, same question. What are the critical issues facing Florida's education system?
Well, I have to throw this ball, and it might surprise some of you, but I think the most critical issue that we have in education today is parent involvement. We have a group of people that are out there, and unlike Melissa, I don't necessarily think that sending a 4-year-old to school, or even earlier, is for every day, all day long, is necessarily a good thing. I think parents who love their children can take good care of them. I'm not even sure that 5-year-olds should have to go to kindergarten. Now, I'm not going to make that an issue, but children do benefit from being at home with their parents. And the parents who stay with their children throughout their entire 12 years of school make a huge difference in the way this child performs, in the outcome that happens in that child's life. Okay, parent involvement, Common Core is a disaster. Just because they turned it into Florida standards does not mean that we have a good product. We do not even have a test to go along with that Common Core Florida standards to make it viable so that we can test at the end of the year to see if it's working. Why should we use the next 3 or 4 years of our children's life using them as guinea pigs in trying to promote something that the government shouldn't be involved in the first place? Social promotion. You think it's gone? It's not gone. kids are getting to the 12th grade, cannot read.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, same question. Critical issues in education?
Sure. First off, we'd start with Florida standards or Common Core. It's obviously a disaster. Anytime you take monies from the federal government and allow the federal government to dictate which standards we're teaching our kids is wrong. We need to bring that to a local level and have our parents and our teachers and our school board members coming up with higher standards for our students. The other thing I'd like to look at is accountability, allowing the principal to really take control of the school. I think all too often we have, maybe school board overreach or superintendent overreach, but I really would like to see the principals take full control. The other thing, and this is something that Tho talks about a lot, is virtual schools. We need to focus on virtual schools. This is not only cut down on the cost of the brick and mortar school, but some kids learn differently. And lastly, I'd like to look at universal school choice vouchers, where any kid can go to a school that the parents deem necessary for, wherever they want to go across the state. There's around $7,000 that follows a student each year. And if somebody wants to send their child across, the county line to go to a different school, I'd like that $7,000 to follow them. But I think, obviously our education system is not where it needs to be. But I think if we can focus on some things like this, that we will be able to start moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Bishop, same question. Critical issues facing Florida's education system?
Well, first, Florida needs to follow the lead of states like Texas, get rid of Common Core. And really, the fact that the Florida legislature just tried to rebrand it, to me, that's very duplicative. That bothers me a great deal. Again, Jay touched on one of my great passions, the Florida virtual school system. My sisters use them. They do wonderful work. And this is only the start of what can become. Because what the Florida virtual school system can really allow is just open up the marketplace. So we can have a lot of innovation in the education sector. I picture a room where you could have the brick and mortar school system with 24 kids in it. Each kid, going on a computer, learning at their own pace, going with their own curriculum, dialed to their own individualized interests. We could reward teachers for coming up with new curriculums, new lecture series, new content, new ways to educate these children. Because the problem with Common Core is not simply Common Core. This is simply a repeated pattern that we've seen throughout the last few decades of the continued approach to standardized education. It's the problem with the Department of Education up in Washington. It's the problem with the FCAT that I grew up with No Child Left Behind. Not every kid learns the same. We cannot standardize an education system good enough that takes into account the individuality of the kids. With the technology that we have today, with the internet, Florida can be the trailblazers in education innovation.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan will be first up. This is about jobs in the economy. According to a recent study, tourism provides 63,000 jobs in Northwest Florida that average $20,000 a year. Manufacturing provides 15,000 jobs at about $60,000 a year. Northwest Florida understands that we need to think regionally and work together to grow the economy. What resources and infrastructure do we have now that we can leverage to bring economic diversity to our area?
What resources do we have that we can leverage?
What resources and infrastructure do we have now that we can leverage to bring diversity to our area's economy?
Okay, Jay has mentioned one of them. We certainly would benefit more if we had more technology jobs, and that is clean industry that would not pollute our waters, would not pollute our air. So if we were able to get more technology jobs down here, we have a lot of things to offer people. I would like to see more growth along the lines of when somebody comes from a city and they say, we don't really have very many things to do here. If you look through the daily paper, there are quite a few things, but we do need to expand the quality of life issues that we have not really particularly grown here. We have the arts that comes and goes, but we don't have arts in the school system strong enough to make anybody want to stay around here and do arts. We need to make that better. We have beautiful pristine springs and rivers that we could attract people to. We have the property that make us attractable. I don't think we have had enough innovation within our city and county governments. I don't know what's holding us back, but there's something holding us back, and I would like to have it identified. And maybe when I get to Tallahassee, people will open up locally and let me know why they don't want to expand industry the way that we should be expanding it in Bay County. That's a sort of a plea that the government lets us know what they're really doing.
Thank you. Jay Trumbull, same question. I'll read it one more time. According to a recent study, tourism provides 63,000 jobs to Northwest Florida that average $20,000 a year. Those are tourism jobs. Manufacturing provides 15,000 jobs at $60,000 a year. Northwest Florida understands that we need to think regionally and work together to grow the economy. What resources and infrastructure do we have now that we can leverage to bring economic diversity to our area?
Sure. The fact that we're 20 miles south of I-10 has kind of put Bay County at maybe behind the times a little bit. But what we do have going for us is our port, which is just a fantastic thing for Bay County to champion. One thing I'd like to do is to lead a port trade delegation to where we go out and we find places and businesses and companies that want to ship through Bay County's port. It's to continue on that, the port's prime to be able to take displaced ships from some of these other areas across the state. With the widening of the Panama Canal, we're going to have these mega ships. Well, those mega ships are going to go to Jacksonville, and then where are those displaced ships going to go? Well, Bay County's primed for it, and I think that's a really exciting thing for us. We have to make sure that we have the right infrastructure in place, whether that be the rail, which is also a very good infrastructure for us, and new roads possibly. The fact is that Florida hasn't built a new road in 20 years. That's not something we should be proud of. We need to be focusing on not only maintaining the roads that we have now to get goods from A to B, but possibly looking in the future to new roads. And just real quick, that's it.
Thank you. Though Bishop, same question. What resources and infrastructure do we have now that we can leverage to bring economic diversity to our area?
Well, I think there's a lot that we can do in the state of Florida to help promote startups. Capital formation, I think, is key, and things like crowdfunding, which allows small businesses to utilize social media and new internet means of raising capital, I think would be a huge, huge benefit here. We could also help, create culture here in Panama City, create more pride. One thing that, really if you're kind of passionate about, or with mine, it's not really a state legislative issue, it's more of a local problem, is food trucks. Okay, look at all the great real estate we have in Panama City, and all the people that their first jobs are working in the restaurant industry. Let's make it easier for them to take their own recipes, their own passions, and cook food for people using food trucks. The amount of startup goes way, way down. These are all ways that getting government out of the way, letting people take advantage of the unique resources that we have here, optimize our own culture, can do a lot of amazing, amazing things. What scares me, though, is when you have legislators talking about subsidizing or prioritizing a certain industry. I don't care if it's high-tech jobs or green jobs. When you have the government coming in and trying to subsidize certain projects, that's where we go astray. That's what gives us Solyndra. But as long as we open up the markets, take advantage of the fact that Panama City is one of the most beautiful places in the entire world, then I think people can flock here. And that's what gets me really excited, really, really excited.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, same question. What resources and infrastructure do we have now that we can leverage to bring economic diversity to our area?
Well, I think we have all of the ingredients for the recipe for success, actually. First and foremost, we have a good K-12 system and college system that will help us to educate the workforce. And I think in order to attract industry to this area, we have to have a skilled workforce. The Advanced Technology Center actually has an advanced manufacturing program so that we are already putting graduates out there that have these skills. Right now, we may have to be exporting them away to other places, but knowing that we have a skilled workforce here will attract those industries to our area. And as Jay mentioned, the port facilities and expansion of that, I think those are incredible opportunities for increasing imports and exports with the expansion of the Panama Canal, and that will create opportunities as well. Working with the Economic Development Alliance, they are working to get certified sites here in Bay County. And a lot of times when businesses are looking to relocate, they are looking for that shovel-ready site that they can relocate their business. And I think that we are primed for advanced manufacturing in that area. One of the things that didn't pass in the last legislative session was trade logistics zones, basically giving money to counties or developing a regional approach on infrastructure and road systems that would encourage commerce and more people to relocate to Bay County. So I would be in favor of these trade logistics zones, and I think that that would help us be more competitive in that manufacturing market.
Thank you. That was 10 questions that each one of you have answered, and now we're going to go to the bonus round.
Oh my gosh.
I had to say it somewhere along the way. Jay Trumbull, you're going to lead off with this final question. What makes you the best candidate for District 6?
Sure. Well, thank you for that question, Don. You know, when deciding to run for this seat, I was looking at the options, and I said, if Bay County is going to be represented by someone, I want that person to have small business experience. Like I've said, tonight, I've grown up in and now been a part of a small business. I know what it takes to create prosperity. I understand what too much regulation and red tape and increased taxes and fees and frivolous lawsuits do to small businesses, and I don't think it's right. I want somebody who has the time and the energy, like we talked about earlier in that question, the time and energy to get stuff done, to be able to create relationships with people and to work across the aisle to make sure that Bay County is well represented. I'm proud to have had a lot of support in Bay County. I've been very proud to have people like Harold Basil, who's a strong leader in Bay County. I've been proud to be endorsed by the NRA. If I've learned anything from door knocking other than, people wanting government out of their lives, they want Bay County to be represented by someone who has strong conservative values. And I've learned that from the very beginning, and I think that's something that I can definitely bring to the table, as well as everybody else up here can bring to the table. But we need somebody who can devote the time and energy and has those conservative values to be able to get things done in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Tho Bishop, same question. What makes you the best candidate?
Making the decision to run for office was not easy. I gave a great job, a lot of great friends to come back home. I did so because I am so excited about the potential that we have here in Bay County. And really who I am is someone who is really passionate about trying to find solutions to make lives easier, make lives better. Public policy moves. The only thing that gets me more excited than college football is finding new legislation across the country that is expanding liberty, that is making government making lives better, that is restraining the federal government. Bernie Thompson and I love to get together, and we talk politics all day long. We talk history, we talk philosophy. This is who I am. And I want to take these skills that I've spent, I'm a young guy, but I've been studying this stuff about 10 years now. And I put my blood, my heart and soul into this. And I want to take those skills back home to Panama City and do it and help make this county the best county in the entire state of Florida. Further, I want to lead by example. And I want to get other people that may have left Bay County to come back home, to pursue their own passions back here. Because I think if we can take the kids that come up here, grow up in the environment that we get, and we have them come back here, there is no stopping our future. And that's what drives me. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Hagan, what makes you the best candidate for District 6?
Well, I think I mentioned before that one of the reasons that I got into the race was because I really do see quite a bit of potential here in Bay County. And I do want to be part of the solutions at the state level. I think I bring to you a solid track record of experience, and that being an educator working at Gulf Coast State College, being a student support services director, understanding that first-generation college student and how much that education plays into their success. I also was the chief development officer at the college and worked on the ATC project. And I think that that really gave me excellent experience in working in our community and building partnerships. And when you go to Tallahassee, you need someone who's going to be able to work with a diverse group of people and bring them together for a common vision. And I was able to do that with the ATC. One of the other reasons that I feel qualified is I'm a small business owner. I know the challenge of starting a small business and what it's like to have to pay the bills, and also the challenges of expanding it and using technology. And we have been very successful doing that and helping veterans along the way. I'm a military spouse, and like I said, I did send my husband off to war when I was just 22 years old, and that experience, I think it really helped me to grow up and to understand the challenges that military families go through. And there are quite a few here in Bay County. And I want to be able to go to Tallahassee and make sure that our veterans and our military get the support and the benefits that they deserve. So I would be standing for the military as well.
Thank you. Thelma Rohan, what makes you the best candidate for District 6?
Well, as I talk to people, one of the things that I have learned, the reason that we have become so disappointed and frustrated with government is because you don't really know who you can trust. We send people. Now, we can trust Steve. I'm not talking about you, Mr. Sutherland. But we listen to other states as they go through the litany of, what have they done to us again? Why have they done this to us? With me, I have a track record that is longer than some of these young folks have been alive. You know exactly what I'm thinking when I think it. I'm as honest as the day is long. You know what you get, you're looking at it. If I say something, I pretty much mean it. Now, you might be able to talk me into something else, but it's got to be a lot better than what I'm thinking. So that's the main reason. The second main reason that I think I'm most qualified is that I have served in a policy-making body. I have sat on the chair that got flaming hot. People were shooting daggers at us practically. Teachers' union members going after us because we didn't give them an 11% raise that year when we came to arbitration with them. I've done that. I have been brave enough to sit there. I've been brave enough to answer it correctly.
Thank you. Now we've wrapped up, we've exhausted our questions, and we're going to go to the closing statements. And just as a reminder, each one of you will have a closing statement. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. The yellow light will go on after 90 seconds, and that will be your 30-second warning. So let's stay on time because I need to get this suit back.
Okay. And did they want us to go to the podium for the final statements?
You can do that right there if you like.
We can do it here? Okay, excellent. Is that what you...
We're doing closing statements at the podium? Yes?
Is that at the podium?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. And you have a big decision to make on August the 26th. And it's obvious that you have 4 very solid conservative Republican candidates on the stage to choose from. But when the campaign is over and the signs go away and the television commercials stop airing, I think that's when the real work of governance begins. And that's when your wisdom of life experiences and that art of persuasion that you need to get things done in Tallahassee is going to begin as well. And I just think that I bring a solid track record of experience to the table for you. I've been working in this community ever since I got here on the ground, and I have been serving these citizens of our community for many years in in civic and leadership roles, and I'm very, very proud of that. And whoever you elect is going to be one of 120 representatives in Tallahassee, and we have designated leadership that's going to be coming from South Florida. for the next few sessions. So it's going to be vital for you to choose someone who has a strong voice and who is going to be an advocate for Bay County and our Northwest Florida region. And I think that I'm definitely that advocate, and I am ready to put my experience to work for all of you. And I humbly ask for your vote on August the 26th. Thank you.
Yes, I had to. Yes, I had to get a stool. I had a nice little stool in my house, so I brought it with me. Because we checked it earlier, and there was just this much of my face you could see. You've heard tonight, first of all, thank you, Judy, Melissa, Matt, from the rec, from the women's group, from the round table. You've done a magnificent job. Mr. Sutherland, you've honored us with your presence. We appreciate it. And all you people are incredible. We get news from the media that nobody cares. This is so refreshing to see a room full of people come out and try to get to know their candidates. You've heard from us tonight, there's a lot of similarities. And that's pretty much expected because we are all Republicans. And if we start sounding too much alike, you won't believe any of us. So we're glad that we do have a lot of similarities. But the main difference that I see that, that we have is that my experience, whether you think my age is a problem, that's with you, that's not with me. I do have the energy. I have the experience. I have more experience than these three candidates all rolled into one. I served on the rec. I've told you already. I was the vice chair. I was the precinct leader. I was the chairman. I'm a 50-year grassroots Republican. I'm very proud of that. And I will continue to serve as long as I'm alive. I'll serve the Republican Party. But I want to go to Tallahassee because I want the hard-working citizens of Bay County to have the best person that I can find in myself. The best person that you can choose, I think, is me. So help me, vote for me on August 26th, and we will make Bay County conservation, education, and the other one I forgot. I feel like, oh gosh, I'm sorry. But whatever it is, it's going to be really good, and they're going to be jealous of us because the red light went on.
So good evening. I want to just reverberate what Melissa and Thelma both said. Thank you to the Republican Party for taking the time to put this together. Thank you to the audience for taking time out of your busy schedule. Obviously, summer is a busy time. You could be doing many other things, but you chose to come here and make an informed decision on House District 6. Bay County really should be proud. We've got 4, I believe, very qualified candidates running for this seat, and I think we should consider ourselves proud of that. You know, I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to grow up in and now be a part of a small business that's in Bay County. You know, I'm proud of the fact that my great-grandfather moved to Panama City with absolutely nothing. He borrowed $3,000 from his uncle and opened Culligan Water on Harrison Avenue in 1947. There are not many people that can say that they're fourth generation anything, and I'm very proud to say I'm a fourth generation business owner in Bay County. But what I'm not proud of is that we have government getting in the way of people trying to carry out the same American dream that my great-grandfather was able to accomplish. You know, as I've talked about tonight, that's through red tape and regulation, just redundancies and overreach, gross overreach and regulation. That's with increased taxes and fees, just extorting small businesses. And that's with frivolous lawsuit abuse towards these small businesses. And we need to make sure that that is not the case in Tallahassee. And I want to go to Tallahassee and fight for that. I'm proud of our campaign. You know, we've come a long way. We've knocked 3,000 doors. We've gotten great endorsements from people like the NRA. But those endorsements don't matter unless I get your endorsement. I would very much appreciate your vote on August 26th. And if you didn't get any questions, if I didn't answer a question tonight that you were wanting to ask, I'd like to give my cell phone number out. It's on all of my campaign brochures, but it's 850-684-2050. If y'all have any questions, please call me day or night. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to thank everyone in the room, local party, and I also want to, special shout out to Veronica, who's just been killing it, and not just tonight, but the last several months. You know, I want to take a few seconds to talk about someone who's been on my mind a great deal tonight. Right before I went up to Washington, maybe the very same month, just a few weeks before, my father passed away. And he was an incredible man. He actually helped build the Republican Party in the South as a major consultant and communications director for the local party. He went behind enemy lines to try to rescue POWs left behind in the Vietnam War. And believe it or not, he and my mom actually helped elect the first democratically elected government in the country of Belize. He made history. And the greatest inheritance I got from him was seeing from his knee how men can shape history. And he used to tell me that, you know, the right group of people with the right ideas in the right location can change the world. That's what drives me here today. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of the political status quo. And the problem is that it's both parties that are to blame. It's not just Barack Obama's and liberals in Washington. Look at Tallahassee. Okay, the state legislature just passed the largest budget in the history of the state of Florida. The legislature passed illegal immigrants, or benefits for illegal aliens, letting them become immigration attorneys. They're rewarding big corporations at the expense of small businesses. They're doing nothing to stop Common Core. They're doing nothing to stop the federal takeover of our fisheries. And our Attorney General has said that having a concealed weapon in your car justifies police searching your vehicle. In the state of Florida, you should not be giving up your Fourth Amendment rights if you practice your second. So you may not have, the great thing about being in Washington is I have a lot of great experience. But I don't have the professional relationship that some on this stage may have with you. So if you don't know me as well, but you believe in these ideas, you believe in my passion, you believe in the sense of urgency I have, then I hope for this election, you'll stand with me. And I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Don, thank you very much. Please join me. Did a great job. He kept everything moving along so quickly that we had a chance to squeeze in one last question. So thank you very much. Thank you, candidates. You guys did an incredible job. Please join me in congratulating them. Before we go, I want to say thank you to a few people. First of all, if you are a member of the Bay County Republican Party, the Panhandle Federated Republican Women, or the Bay County Republican Roundtable, please stand. Please join me in thanking these people for hosting you tonight. Also, I think it's appropriate for us to thank the people who support Bay County Republican Party. We have some fabulous donors in Bay County. We have a good bit of money in the bank to work on this election for one of these candidates, for Governor Scott, for Steve Sutherland, and we appreciate all of the donors that we have who've made this possible tonight. Before you go, I have one more thing to say. I hope that you will indulge me. There's a message that's heavy on my heart I'd like to share with you tonight. In 1880, Ulysses S. Grant gave a speech about why he's a Republican. And his words ring true still today. He recognized the real enemy of freedom and liberty. Please indulge me for just a moment while I read an excerpt from that speech. Now, set the stage for you. He was addressing a group of Republicans. This is September 28, 1880. He was a former president. About midway through the speech, he says, "I'm a Republican for many reasons. The Republican Party assures protection to life and property, the public credit, and the payment of debts of the government, state, county, or municipality, so far as it can control. The Democratic Party does not promise this. If it does, it has broken its promises to the extent of hundreds of millions of dollars, as many Northern Democrats can testify to their sorrow. I am a Republican, as between the existing parties, because it fosters the production of the field and farm, the factories, and it encourages the general education of the poor as well as the rich. The Democratic Party discourages all of these when in absolute power. The Republican Party is a party of progress and of liberty towards its opponents. It encourages the poor to strive to better their children, to enable them to compete successfully with their more fortunate associates, and in fine, it secures an entire equality before the law of every citizen, no matter what his race, nationality, or previous condition. It tolerates no privileged class. Everyone has the opportunity to make himself all he is capable of. Ladies and gentlemen, do you believe this can be truthfully said in the greater part of 14 of the states of this union today, which the Democratic Party control absolutely? The Republican Party is a party of principles, the same principles prevailing wherever it has a foothold. The Democratic Party is united in but one thing, and that is in getting control of the government in all its branches. It is for eternal improvement at the expense of the government in one section and against this in another. It favors repudiation of solemn obligations in one section and honest payment of its debts in another, where public opinion will not tolerate any other view. It favors fiat money in one place and good money in another. Finally, it favors the pooling of all issues not favored by the Republicans, to the end that it may secure the one principle upon which the party is in a most harmonious unit, namely, getting control of the government in all its branches. So I appreciate you letting me read that to you, and I would share with you that what was true in 1880 is still true today. I hope this debate has helped you decide which Republican candidate can best represent Bay County in the Florida House. When this primary is over, we will have a nominee that will face off with a Democrat in November. Let us be united in supporting that candidate. Let us stand together to recognize the true enemy of liberty and freedom and fight as a united group. I'd like to wish you good night and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It wasn't even a C word.
Thanks, Don.
The 10 Republican candidates vying for the 2016 presidency took the stage in Cleveland, Ohio on Thursday night for the all-important first debate. Out of the group, Donald Trump, unsurprisingly, emerged as the most quotable, but he and his fellow party members were all upstaged by someone who was asking the questions, not answering them. Fox News powerhouse Megyn Kelly. The host of The Kelly File, currently the second most watched program in all of cable news behind only Fox's own The O'Reilly Factor, made headlines during and following the GOP debate for her tough line of questioning. Famously, such an approach led her to asking Trump about his many verbal attacks on women. Kelly began, "You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals." Her remarks caused Trump to clarify, only Rosie O'Donnell. Trump wasn't the only candidate taken to task. Kelly also questioned Scott Walker's stance on abortion, asking, "Would you really let a mother die rather than have an abortion?"